welcome back to J Music Talks. Today I want to share with you my top 10 tips when you're preparing an audition, a jury, or a performance exam. So my first tip is to prepare all your paperwork ahead of time. That includes any photocopies you need to do if you have a jury, any forms they need you to fill out ahead of time, and to make sure that you have the proper ID ready. And kind of bundle these all together, put them in a file folder, and just have them ready to go way before your audition, jury, exam date. It just makes it so much easier, it takes all the stress off. And if you're doing a larger performance that requires programs, do those as well and tuck them into the same file folder with everything else, so all your paperwork is ready to go and off to the side, and you only have to worry about getting ready on the day of. My second tip is to record yourself while you're practicing or rehearsing with your accompanist. You don't know if you're doing some weird little physical quirk or if something's just not coming across how you want, if dynamic is not there, or if a certain nuance that you're putting in is not fully coming across how you want it to. You can really see that in a recording, and it helps so much. So even if it's just a phone or an iPad or your computer or an actual camera, record yourself while you're playing and watch yourself and see any physical mannerisms that may be going on while you're playing that might either be distracting for the jury or might lead to a better performance if you want to smile more, stand up a little straighter, present your instrument more. My third tip is to rehearse in the outfit or attire you're going to be wearing on the day of that performance, exam, or jury. It is so important to practice in it because you don't know if you're going to lift your arms and suddenly your jacket has risen up and you are showing your midsection. Or if it is a thing where you have to bow and you bend over and oh no, you're showing too much. So make sure that you rehearse in that outfit, and the shoes as well. Especially if a lady is wearing heels and she hasn't rehearsed in them, you can tell. Make sure all your shoes are broken in and that you've worn your outfit while performing to see how it works with your instrument and if it has any little possible malfunctions, and also that you're not fiddling with it too much. You want to make sure all your clothes are nicely fitted or sit on you the way you want them to and are not too tight, especially too tight. With the woodwinds, I tend to not wear a belt if I'm wearing pants and I need to breathe really heavily, or I'll wear a dress with a higher waist so that I can fully expand and not worry about, looking fatter than I would and then I feel self-conscious or anything along those lines. So really watch out with what you wear. I find that if I try on different outfits and try playing in them ahead of time, I could really decide what I want to wear and what allows me to breathe, move, and perform to my best ability before I even step onto that stage. So that's probably my number one tip with clothing. And a lot of the times for females, I can't truly speak towards males, but for females, I only wear jackets if I'm playing something like a saxophone or a clarinet where my arms are down. With flute, I would choose a sweater or a shirt because blazers tend to rise up and then it kind of tags at your neck a little bit. So those are kind of what I would normally wear. I do wear flat shoes for most of my performance, and I also tie my hair completely back. As you can see, my bangs sometimes get in the way, so I like to have that fully pulled back no matter what I'm doing, just so that I'm not fiddling with my hair at all. My fourth tip is to double check all the requirements. Make sure you didn't miss anything. If it's listed on a website, if you have a paper copy of the exact requirements, make sure that you double check. Not every ensemble is the same and not every audition is going to be the same. They're going to want slightly different things, and if you didn't prepare for what a certain audition requires, then you're going to be very scrambled and not focused the day of as you try and prepare this final bit. So please prepare all that ahead of time. This comes from personal experience wherein I didn't know that they had set out the orchestral excerpts for us, and they'd only posted it online and not sent out an email for it at all. It was just, you're supposed to know to go online and find these excerpts, learn them, and perform them. So make sure that you are checking all the websites, you are keeping up to date, and even if you have to call and double check requirements, if it's a really, really important thing, please do so. And you can even print out a copy, physically cross things off to make sure that you have prepared absolutely everything so that you can have one less thing on your mind the day of. Number 5 is to get all instrument repairs done at least 2 weeks in advance. Make sure that your instrument is back well before the week of, so that you are not worried it's not going to come back, so that you can check out any alterations that were made, especially if there was any adjustments done. Anything that was leaking that's now fixed and moves a little differently or feels a little differently under your fingers, make sure that you check those out and have those ready to go. Along with that, for reed players, I also say to have your reeds prepared the week of. So take a day and sand down any reeds that you want to use that week and make sure that they are all playing. I usually have about 3 when I'm doing auditions, especially, you know, when they're very important ones. You can get away with just 2, but I would prefer to have 3. Then you have 1 really good one that you know is going to be perfect, two other ones that are still good, and if one breaks, you have a backup. If for some reason that one breaks, you have a backup. And I always make sure to either tuck them in a pocket when I go out there, or have them along with my music and place them on the stand in front of me. Now this next one is more day of, but it is to always arrive early. Arriving early means that you can put yourself in that positive headspace for performance. You have time to warm up. You have time to find your accompanist. If your accompanist is running late, you have time to call them and check and see where they are. Hopefully warm up with them as well. Make sure everything is all in line. You have time to use the washroom, time to brush your hair out of the way, anything that you need to do. It's always good to have extra time, and also pay for extra parking if it is pay parking. A lot of auditions, exams, juries, they always run late. And if you did not pay for parking and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go in the next 3 minutes here, but my parking runs out in 5, like, do I have time to run out and pay for more? Just pay for an extra half hour, an extra hour, depending on what it looks like. If it's really running behind and you get there, you can go out and add more parking, which I would highly recommend doing that. Like, if you think it's gonna run out and it's half an hour to time, do go out and add more time just in case, because you do not want that stress on your mind at all. Number 7, this one is to eat at least an hour before you're going to play. That allows time for digestion, time for the food to settle, and I always try and include protein in that meal. Even if it's hard to get down, get some protein in whatever form you need. You know, it doesn't have to be meat. It can be a vegetarian option. It can be, you know, a protein bar if you really can't get anything down that day. Just have some protein, because that's going to last you through the audition and give you that energy that you need to get through the whole thing. Nothing's worse than losing energy halfway through and having the jury think that you're not interested just because you're getting tired or anything like that. So always eat at least 1 hour prior, and with that, make sure that you use the washroom right before you go to play, so that there is nothing going on in your stomach and nothing to upset your playing. That seems almost silly to say because everyone goes to the washroom, but it's a really big thing. Make sure that you go. Again, one less thing off your mind, just go. Like, even if you don't think you have to, just go. Number 8, this one is more for on stage. So as soon as you step on stage, you're probably going to be nervous. I will be putting out a video on performance anxiety soon, just so you can have some tips and tricks on how to calm yourself before you step on. But you will be nervous. There is very, you know, maybe a handful of musicians that do not get nervous before they go on stage, and that's very rare. So you will be nervous, you will forget things. So as soon as you step on stage, you know, you answer any questions, you state, you know, your name or whatever you have to for your jury. And then once you place your music down, and reeds, if you have reeds, place them down there as well. Make sure you open up all of your pages so that there's no pages waiting to be turned or anything. Everything's ready to go. Take a few seconds, make sure that you're standing in a very strong stance, whichever one that you've practiced with your teacher or practiced at home in front of the recording. Use that one, kind of obvious again there, but make sure that you use that stance that you have been practicing in, that you have been working on. And then take a few deep breaths. Just the simple act of sighing actually works to calm the body from the inside out. So really take a couple deep breaths, look over the first few bars that you're about to play, think about it in your head, hear it in your head, and then start to play. Do not just jump in and start playing. And with reeds, make sure that they are still moist. Do not just go into play assuming that your reed is still moist from 5 minutes ago. Sometimes it could be a very dry hull, or it could be hot and it could have dried out a bit before that, and then you get squeaks and then you get cracking noises, and it's just not fun. So make sure that that's all ready to go, and that you double check it as soon as you get onto stage. As always, tuning, you know, your accompanist, get them to play a note for you, double check your tuning, which hopefully you already tuned off stage, but make sure that you tune on stage because you don't know how that piano is going to sound. And another one is if there is a component where your jury has to ask you to perform something, if you do not understand what they are saying, or if you did not catch everything that they said, please ask them to repeat themselves politely. Obviously, do not be rude about it. Ask them to repeat themselves or ask for clarification. This is not a negative thing in any way. It is a stressful situation. Sometimes the mind is racing so hard it can't remember everything that is said to it because it just has too much going on. So please ask for clarification. It really shows that you care and you're there to present them a good product. It does not show weakness in any way. It just shows that you're actually thinking about what you're doing, which is a very good thing. Number 9 has to do with your accompanist. Make sure that you have determined your accompanist's fees ahead of time and have either cash, check, however you want to pay them, ready to go on the day if you have not prepaid. Again, this goes along with the paperwork. Have it ready to go. There's nothing worse than scrambling at the end. Your accompanist wants to leave and you're just sitting there like, oh, how much was this again? And oh, you had a fee here, and oh, we had an extra rehearsal here. No, have that all laid out ahead of time. I usually get an invoice sent to me, so I will fulfill that invoice. I will, sign over however much money I need to. Usually I pay in cash on the day of, just so that I don't have to worry about fumbling around with an e-transfer or trying to write out a check. I just cash, envelope, very easy transaction right there. Along with that, make sure that you check in with your accompanist regularly the week of, after rehearsals, just in case, they're having a question about something. Keep that relationship open. Do not go to the harassment level of annoying them, but do keep in touch with them that whole week. Make sure that they are okay to get there, that they have transportation, and that if they are struggling to pay for anything like parking, just offer to pay it. Just pay their parking to get there, because you'd rather have them be there than have them struggling to find free parking 16 blocks away and then are running in at the last minute. Just do whatever you can to make sure that they can get there, and confirm how they're getting there and their phone number ahead of time so that you have it ready to go in your phone in case there is an emergency, and that they have your number and everything is in a good realm of communication. It just makes life so much easier on the day. Number 10, this is the week of. Do not overdo it practicing or rehearsing the week of an exam, a jury, or a performance. If you overdo it, you are more likely to get stressed out, you're more likely to start overthinking everything, and also with all that tension, with all that buildup, you're more likely to get a repetitive strain injury, especially with an instrument like a woodwind, where there are a lot of fast runs. Your fingers have to be nimble enough to get through them, and to get through them smoothly and beautifully, and you cannot do that if there's any kind of tension or stress in your hands. So do not overdo it. Do not cause one of those injuries. They are not fun. And just be careful that week. Don't be going and doing dangerous things that would involve anything you need to play your instruments, like your hands, your mouth, anything like that. Don't do anything dangerous the week of a performance. I think, again, that's kind of more self-explanatory, but just make sure that you're not overdoing it the week of. It's fine to rehearse, it's fine to practice, but just don't overdo it. And make sure, while you are this lovely stress case the week of, that you continually thank people and you do put a smile on your face. There is nothing worse than someone coming in looking like they've been dragged over, a railroad track pretty much. Always make sure that you're smiling and happy and positive around anyone that is your jury, your accompanist, anyone working with you. Do not be mean to them. Thank them. Smile. And it kind of radiates the positivity and leads to a more positive performance. Even if inside you are counting everything that you did wrong, do not let it show. There's only yourself to kind of be that juror, and you don't want that negative juror in your head. It's not a good place to be. But that is my 10 tips. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.